Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, January 24th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, what are we looking at here? We have an overnight that has traded in a rotational manner. It has just been grinding up and down all night long and pretty much inside of yesterday's value area. We did just poke below here at the end of the overnight, but we spent most of the night up there inside of yesterday's value. That increases the odds that the market is going to chop this morning. That just like they couldn't decide which direction to take it, higher or lower in the overnight, we'll probably have to spend some more time chopping around this morning. So that gives us a moment to just pause and kind of zoom out and try to get a bigger picture understanding of what's happening in the market. We don't necessarily need to feel like we're going to have to jump into a trade right when that opening bell rings. So might as well use the time to deepen our understanding. So let's zoom out to the daily chart. This is about as messy as you'll ever see my daily chart. Normally, I would not have this much stuff up on the screen at once. You got multiple trend lines and multiple balance areas. But I don't really know what's at play right now, so I want to have all the potential scenarios available to me. So let's just take them one at a time. First and foremost, we have balance. When a market can't decide where it wants to go, it stays stuck inside a range. Okay? What we have here in front of us over the last few months is a giant balance area. It's a giant range that the market has been stuck inside trying to decide which way it's going to go. And it's been doing it in the most orderly fashion I've ever seen. I've never seen a balance area that is this as perfectly designed as this one is. So it's a great one for a learning opportunity. Essentially, what you say is the market is stuck inside a range where it is trading from one end of the range to the other. If it tries to break out above one end and cannot, it comes back down to the other and vice versa. Okay? If it's able to break out, it comes back down to back test that high once again. If it fails to find support, then it comes back through. Okay? Does it again. Tries to break out, fails. When it comes back to back test it, comes back through. Okay? Now there's an important thing I want to note. When you have a balance area, you often will get excess on an attempt to break out that is at least the size of the balance. So if you look at the balance area here, and then just look at the size of the excess breaking out of that balance, perfect. Look at the excess breaking out of that balance to the downside, perfect, right? So that's why I say this is just a textbook balance area, because that's exactly what you would expect to see. Break out, do the same range as the balance area, fail to get new buyers, come back through, okay? So then when we came back through to the downside, it was such a violent move, we created a second balance area, a whole new balance area down here on the downside. Okay, broke out of that, back tested it, sent us back through the previous balance area. So of course that was a look below that failed, and where did it trigger us? All the way to the opposite end of balance. Didn't quite have the momentum to keep going, another look below and fail, right back up to the opposite end of balance. So that would make, looking at it as a balance area, that would make today, so far anyway, a look above and fail, increasing the odds that we're going to head lower today, heading back down towards that opposite end of balance. Okay, so that's one scenario. What's another scenario? Well, we got the downtrend from the daily, right? We got this big, strong downtrend, been holding down the market all year long. Couldn't get above it. Got above it, couldn't stay above it. Got above it, stayed above it for a whole day, couldn't hold on the retest, broke back through. Well, now we got above it, we stayed above it, and now we have another chance to retest it. So both of those scenarios, whether it is coming back to back test this trend line for continuation higher, it failed the last back test, can this one work? Or it's a look above and fail of the balance area, both of those are bearish for the market to pull back. Okay? So what is the other alternative? If the market's not going to go down today, what is it going to do? Well, then it's going to go sideways or it's going to go up. Sideways will be in a chop zone, and we'll just have to wait for the break, and then we'll know how to trade a sideways move. Well, what about a move to the upside? What would that look like? Well, that would be a continuation of the momentum. So we would expect to chop here first thing in the morning, break through the chop to test the overnight high. If that finds support, we look to test yesterday's high. If that finds support, we look for continuation. To my mind, that is the least likely scenario here. And a more likely scenario is a look above and fail yesterday takes us lower today. And then a second most likely scenario is sideways up inside this upper end of yesterday's range. Okay. So first most likely lower, second most likely sideways, third most likely higher. Let's see what the market has for us. Okay, so this base of the single prints here, 4013, this is pretty much the bottom end of the chop zone. So this is where we're looking for the market to find support. And then we're looking for resistance first right here around 4025, and then up here around 4035. And we're expecting the market to just grind and chop in between those levels. If they can push below the overnight low at 4013 and find new sellers there, find resistance there, I would look for the market to go lower and I would become bearish. But if it just pokes below there and then pulls right back up into the overnight range, well, then I assume it's just chop. And I just sit by and wait. Because it's a chop zone and we're chopping it up. Good morning to Pavel, Roger, the $6 million man, Annis, Scrapper, Great MES, Tim, David V, Malcolm, RK, Caution, ES Trade Monkey, Chillin' with Dylan, Nick, Scooball, Ross, and Infornity. Welcome one, welcome all. Can you smell the chop today? Back through the open we go. Will we test the resistance above us? Good morning, Jay. Jay says another day in paradise. I agree. Great day for making money. Nick and Juan, good morning to you guys. All right, so starting off the morning, we have a week high and a week low. That increases the odds of chop. So once again, the question here, if they poke below that overnight low, do they get new sellers down there, or do they pull right back up into the overnight range? Okay, so now we're testing the halfback whenever the market is in a chop zone. If it's going to break one side or another, it generally will find support or resistance at the halfback first. So let's see, does that hold as resistance? Tom, that is the idea. That is the goal. And if you're not to be a dick about it, but if you're not, probably your problem is risk management. It's probably not reading a chart. It's probably how you position yourself for trades. Okay, so now we're below the overnight low. So is this just a dip below that pulls right back up and the chop continues? Or do we get new sellers here below the overnight low? New sellers would be bearish for continuation lower as they look above and fail of a balance area high. Moment of truth. To resist or not to resist? Okay, that's resistance at the overnight low. I am now bearish and remain bearish as long as we remain below the opening price. If we pass back through the opening price, I'm wrong, and we're back in a chop zone. But right now, I see sellers below the overnight low. Mark, the choppening. Doesn't look like it. Looks like there's some buyers who were buying in the upper end of yesterday's range who have found themselves long in the hole. And every second that goes by and every tick that the market goes lower, they're getting closer and closer to getting squeezed. So all eyes are on the ticks. We want to keep those ticks below the zero line. Now that the sellers got below that overnight low, they want to remain in control of this market. They can come back up and test the resistance at halfback. That's fine, but they got to smack those ticks down. They can't let them get above the zero line. NQ looks like the inverse of the ES. No, can't be. No, they look the same. They just have dipped below their overnight low. So on the NQ, you got the same thing, P-shaped profile yesterday. Overnight just rotated inside the P-shaped profile, increasing the odds of chop. And we're still inside the overnight range, so it's the chop zone. So you're looking for resistance around 11,921 and support around 11,850 and chop in between the two. So this is that moment I talked about. We're testing those ticks. It's okay to come back and test the resistance, but we got to smack those ticks down. Okay, well, that's now weak because they reversed right at the opening price. Newsbot? What's the news? There's the Newsbot. Oh, okay. Well, sorry, guys. Back to a chop zone. Could not smack down the ticks. Could not hold the opening price. So now I'm going to have to see them push below that overnight low, below 40.12, and hold it before I get bearish again. The assumption now is more chop, disappointingly. So now we got to wait for the liquidity to start to come back and bookmap. Right? Whenever we have one of these moments, when everything goes dark like this, we know that's just so the computers can do their trading. So once the color starts to come back into here, we'll know that they're starting to take positions again. Many New York Stock Exchange listed stocks halted for technical issues. Huh. Yep, back through the opening price. It's chop. So this is the least exciting scenario, as it is setting us up for going sideways here for the next few hours. But we can't tell the market what to do. We just got to go with whatever it gives us. So on the ES here, we're pushing into the first potential resistance right here around 25. And then the next resistance is up around 35. And we'll look for the market to come back down and now find support around 15. And for the chop, if it wasn't enough to spend all night long grinding around in here, that means we probably got to spend some more time going sideways. So once again, to get me bullish, they got to get above the overnight high, find support. To get me bearish, they got to get back below the overnight low and find resistance. In between, I leave it to the short-term traders to pick each other's pockets. Mark says scenario 2 or 3 now. It's a good question. No, scenario 1 is still the highest probability. We're just not ready for it yet, right? So the question was, which way would the chop break? Would it break higher? Would it break lower? Or would we just keep going sideways all day? To me, the most likely scenario is lower. The second most likely sideways. The third most likely higher. So this does slightly decrease the odds that we're going to go lower, but it's not certainly it's still number one, because a chop zone, all it means is that the market isn't ready to decide where it's going to go. So we just have to spend more time, let it, go up and down until finally they get enough people long or short. But my guess is still that they want to take the market lower. And it's because of those two things I talked about this morning: the look above and fail of the balance area on the daily, and the retest of the breakout of the downtrend. So whether you see it as a look above and fail, or, look above and fail would take you all the way down to the opposite end, or just a pullback to retest this trend line would pull you back down here into the 3900s. So either way, that to me is the more likely thing the market is going to try to do. It's just a question of having to wait till it's ready. So will we have to wait all day today? I certainly hope not. But we're going to have to wait at least for a little bit while they chop it up. Michael says, with technical issues having stopped trading on over 80 stocks, will this affect the ES's price movement? Of course, yeah, there's a lot of arbitrage bots that all day, every day are taking trades on the ES based on what's happening on the underlying stocks and vice versa. So I'm sure there's a little bit of confusion there, but it's just chop, Pavel, NQ test overnight. NQ test overnight. Ah, the overnight high. All right. Well, yeah, let's see. Can they bring in new buyers up here at the overnight high, or does the same thing that happened to the ES on the low happen to the Q now, where it looks above and fails and the chop continues? Great, MES. The long chop is winning. No, they're not. That's the point of chop. They're winning for a second, and then all of a sudden they're losing, and then they're winning again, and then they're losing again. And you just keep watching the book map over here. You'll just see it'll be nothing but stops on both sides of the market. Look, they came down here, and they got themselves some stops down here. Then they headed up, and they got themselves some stops up here. 1,000 people they were able to take out. Now they're going to head down and take out as many of these longs as they can. Right? All these people, they've been getting long up here. They're putting their stops down here. Come down and get those stops. Once they do that, they'll turn around and do it again. Then they're going to turn around and do it again. Then they're going to do it again. Then they're going to do it again. Then they're going to make you think they're going to take it higher, but then they're going to do it again. Because they're just chopping it up. And that's what they do. Mark, but will they do it again after that? Well, that's the question. Great, MES. Well, now the short chop is winning. Nope, but now we're pushing to support, so guess who's about to take over? Well, clearly the Q got to look above and fail of the overnight high. That does not bode well, right? Yes, sir. So you got the overnight range. The ES tried to poke below the overnight range, couldn't go lower, pulled back up. The NQ tried to poke above the higher end of the range, couldn't go higher, pulled back down. That looks like indecision. And we know what indecision leads to. Chop. All right, so here we go again. Testing the overnight low. Won't get fooled again. I got to see new sellers below there to get bearish. Scooball says, tricky. Is it a balance area or daily momentum? I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's daily momentum, because of the way the overnight traded, because it built most of its time and most of its volume below yesterday's POC. I was looking at that this morning. To me, this feels like there's no momentum on the daily. This was just a look below and fail that pushed us up to the opposite end. And then a bunch of people yesterday got themselves long. And now they're starting to regret it, right? That's how balance areas work. So it seems to me more like a balance area than daily trend, but I could be wrong. Okay, so can they hold the resistance this time? Mark says the buyers in the circle part of the P are getting spanked. Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if they thought that the reason that we went up here, if they thought the reason the price went all the way up here was because of momentum that was going to keep it going, right? If that's why they were buying up here at the end of the day yesterday, they're probably changing their tune right now, aren't they? They're probably realizing this was just a look below and fail that slingshotted us up there. And now there is no new momentum up there. There are no buyers. Uh-oh. I believe the term that Jim Dalton uses is long in the hole. When you get long yesterday and then you wake up this morning and you look and the market's below your entry, nothing you can do. You're stuck. Oh no. I'm stuck in a hole. All right. Well, same exact call as last time. I'm bearish once again. The only difference is last time I said they had to stay below the opening price. I now say they got to stay below the halfback. So I will let them push back into the overnight range and test that halfback, and I will remain bearish for all the reasons I've already discussed. If I'm wrong twice, I will need to reassess my reading, as that will mean I have some sort of confirmation bias. But this to me looks bearish, plain and simple. Testing some support here around 4,005. If that breaks, next major support around 39.95. We are now looking for resistance once again at the overnight low for continuation to the downside. This is those buyers from yesterday. Slowly but surely, the market drops. More of them start to freak out. As soon as it comes back, they're like, yep, get me out. Boom, drops again. Starts coming back up. Yep, get me out. Boom, drops again. Yep. Don't want to be part of it. That's what happens when you're long in the hole. All you want to do is figure out how to get out of that hole. No matter what it takes. Scooball says ticks. I say value area. Ticks, value area. Ticks, value area. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to give him the halfback here to hold because this has been so choppy. So we're looking for those ticks, get smacked back down below the 0 line. Looking for a big wick, just like the tick next to it. Nope. Once again, my apologies, everyone. Chop zone. MFer. Twice now, the market has tried to go lower and failed. That significantly increases the odds that it cannot. So now the scenario that was the highest probability in my mind is no longer the highest probability. It is the second most likely. And now the highest probability is a rotational day sideways for the rest of the day inside this range here. I suspect we're about to go sideways. They tried to take the ES lower, couldn't do it. Tried to take the NQ higher, couldn't do it. Tried to take the ES lower, couldn't do it. What do they need to do more of? Sideways. They didn't spend enough time yet. So I am back into chop zone. And I'm certainly not taking another short until I have the initial balance break to the downside. Moments like these are deeply frustrating. They're very annoying because you know what the market is going to do, but you can't time it. So you're forced to just wait. And you know the money will be plentiful once the market makes its move, but it won't make its move until it's ready. And timing it can be a real difficult task. At this point, the first real reliable signal we could get is whichever direction the C period breaks the initial balance. So if the C period breaks the low, we could look for continuation there. Or if the C period breaks the high, we can look for continuation there. But in between, too much indecision, too much uncertainty. It's a gambler's morning. Corman. You can hear the the ASMR sound of pockets being emptied. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that one was annoying to me this morning. Twice they got me. Uh, Laura says short all in. Not now. Maybe a few minutes ago. Not anymore. Cartman says, are you going to turn off the chat starting next week? No, I'm not going to turn off the chat. The chat will be there all day, every day for you guys to discuss amongst yourselves. I just won't respond after the first hour. Mark says, looks like we are going to ride side saddle today. Time to set alerts and do other stuff. I concur. Fighter Pilot says, market chop, shake and breathe. Nice trend yesterday, so we can wait for market-generated information patiently. That's what the market's going to make us do. It's not giving us a choice in the matter. It's like, bitch, you wait. I'll tell you when I'm ready to go somewhere. Right now, I'm going nowhere. John says, he never responds to me anyhow. What's the difference? Any question you want, John, hit me with it. John B., I won't respond, but will I have charts up all day? Yeah, so if I'm trading, my charts will be up. The only time my charts won't be up is if I decide I'm going to walk away for the day. You know what I mean? Because so for example, I could have my chart up right now. I could say, this is resistance, this is support, and then I could decide I'm done for the day and walk away. And then the market, breaks through and it's gone. And then there's no point in me live streaming this all day, if the market's all the way up out of here. So as long as I'm sitting in front of my computer, the screen will still be projecting out to you guys. And I'll still jump on the mic to mention things. Like if I see a poor high or something like that, I'll still jump on to say there's a poor high. I just won't sit there and have an argument with you guys for 20 minutes about what that means and why you should pay attention. Cortman, I'm going to change my name to Scooball, and then the captain will respond. Well, Scooball challenges me intellectually. What can I say? I enjoy it. David Cooper, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll make that video. I can already tell you, though, if you just look in the links below, in the description below the video, you'll see that it has a window trader link there. That's what I use for market profile. I don't necessarily recommend it, like in air quotes, as if you need to use it, just because I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love Window Trader, but it's expensive. It's like a couple $100 a month, and you have to pay for the data, which is another couple $100 a month. So it's like, I can recommend to you to use mine, but you don't have to. Like, there's lots of free options out there. Or really cheap options that work just as good. So I don't really recommend anything. I think everyone should just experiment. I know it's an unsatisfactory answer, but everyone should just experiment for themselves. Try different brokers, try different software, what do you like and not like? What works or doesn't work for you? So many times I'll ask, like, what do you guys think of such and such a broker? And like half the people will be like, it's terrible, I hate them. And the other half are like, they're my favorite. So you just got to kind of figure out what works for you. But yeah, I use Window Trader for the market profile software, and Bookmap, obviously, for the order flow, and Thinkorswim for the internals. But again, you could use any charting platform. This just happens to be the one I use. I do recommend, though, if you're trying to learn to trade with market profile and you don't have your own setup on your own screen, and you've just been using my screen to look at my market profile, I highly recommend you set yourself up. Even if it's one of the free options, I highly recommend it, because what this game is, what day trading really is, above and beyond all else, is just pattern recognition. It's creating neural pathways in your brain by looking at the same things happen the exact same way, day in and day out, over and over and over again. And the stronger those pathways become, sheerly through practice, the more effective you become at understanding what you're seeing. So if you have not been using your own market profile software, you really should get it. Because you have to be staring at the same screen the same way all day, every day. Even if I was live streaming all day, every time I decide to zoom out and look at the market like this, now your perspective is all messed up. Now your brain doesn't know what it's looking at. A second ago, it was looking at this. This looks totally different to your brain than this. You know what I'm saying? So you want to be controlling your own screen so that your brain can learn to read whatever patterns you're looking at. But anyway, with that, I will bid you all farewell. The C period is here, and we are still inside the initial balance. So as I said before, pretty much anywhere, below the overnight high and above the current low, pretty much anywhere in here, I see as a rotational zone, meaning a place where the market is just going to bounce around up and down and up and down. Okay. But if they can get the C period back up above the A period high, the first order of business would be to try to take the market higher. So that would be what I'm watching for. Can they take the market higher? If they get the C above the A, can they push through this resistance? If they can get through the resistance, can they head up to test the overnight high? And then if they can get above the overnight high, can they bring in new buyers there? I know it sounds crazy, but only after I see all those things happen, first we start trending, then we get through the resistance, then we find buyers above the overnight high. It is only after all of that that I would get bullish for us to keep going. Otherwise, my assumption is all the market's going to do is go sideways here until it breaks that B period low. And then same thing as with the high. When we break that B period low, I will assume the market is trying to start trending lower, and I will monitor that trend for continuation. Okay? So probably going to be a boring sideways day, but if they break the overnight high or the B period low, things could get very interesting very quick. So don't let them bore you to death the first few hours this morning so you miss the opportunity later in the day. It's a great day to just set some alerts at key levels so that you won't miss an opportunity once the market gives it. Enjoy the chop. We'll see you here tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot.